ELjobs.com, and apparently the only one that has to wear glasses.
Not true.
All right, thanks, Jim. I'm going to go over two things that I think are very important in today's internet recruiting world. They're very simple. They're to be present, excuse me, is to be engaged and embrace your competition. Jobs boards today, quote unquote, are much more than a jobs board. We serve now as the yellow pages. We are the newspaper classified ads, and yes, we are even the old truck books, if any of you are old enough to remember those. I was naive enough to put myself as a direct contact on our website for anyone who had a question about anything. I'm a moron. 20 times a day, drivers with questions that they would have gone to the yellow pages or the newspaper or the truck books to get. They're now coming to these websites to get that information. They're not just coming to apply for a job, they're coming to research you and your company. We know that because these stats are taken from our website specifically, but I would be willing to bet that they're fairly broad and probably very close to what anybody up here could share with you. But when a driver comes to our site, 82% of those guys are visiting more than one listing, which means in the same format, I think we all pretty much have the same format, and there's different pricing points or purchase points on that, but you can buy a company profile and you can also list individual jobs. When they're going in and looking at a classified job, 82% of them are visiting more than one. So they're coming in looking for something. They're doing it through drop-down menu search engines, keyword search engines, however they're getting there, but 82% of them are coming in and looking at more than one. So you need to be on, get yourself out there. 79% of those drivers are visiting more than one profile. So they're visiting not just a specific job, but they're looking at your profile and your competition's profile. The reason you need to be present with a partner, such as anyone up here, is if you Google your company's name, there's a pretty good chance one of our companies is going to come up before your own. And that's just, I mean, it's kind of how Google works now. We've got a lot more opportunities to do things with your name than you have. And that was a slide about what I just talked about. I'm not very good at the clicker. Going back, I'm sorry. So, embracing competition. When I started in this business 25 years ago, I had a full head of hair. Anytime everybody told me it was a relatively full head of hair. People that know me are shaking. It was much more full than it is now. When a carrier says to me, we only want direct leads, we don't want multi-carrier apps, a little bit more hair got pulled out. 78% of the drivers are submitting their application to more than one company. So if you only want direct leads, you're missing out on 78% of the people who are applying to you. I could also get in an argument about what a multi-carrier app is and what a direct lead is, and we can do that in the bar later. I don't have enough time to fight you on that. However, anybody that's going into any one of these sites, and any website for that matter, the driver is telling them what they are, who they are, what their experience level is. So they're making the choice to apply to you, and that is a direct lead in my book. So multi-carrier apps are our friends. I'll give you two scenarios that would make you think a little bit more about it. And if you get a phone call, in the old days we used to place an ad in the newspaper, and on Monday morning we would sit around and answer phone calls all day long. It was that easy. So if you're on a phone call with a driver and they are the absolute perfect candidate, and the very final question you ask them is, have you applied to anyone else? They answer yes, and you say, I'm sorry, we can't use you. It's no different than not accepting multi-carrier apps. A lot of you will be in Louisville next week or next month. If you meet the ideal candidate, you make a job offer to a guy sitting at a table because he's such a good person that you want to have come work for your company. If they stop at the booth next to you and talk to them, if you want to walk over and rescind that because they have the audacity to apply to someone else, it's no different. We've got to start treating these multi-carrier applications in the same manner. And I promise you'll get a much better return on your spend with any website that you use. So I would ask that you embrace that competition. It's part of what we do. Competition's a good thing, I think. If you have any questions later, we'll all be up here to answer those. I think, who's next? Jim?
Last.